Oh, well, I forgot to play my intro.
Oh,
Screw it. I don't
shit.
care.
Well, regardless,
How's everyone doing tonight? We got Gay King's Advisors here. Crimson Rolo. Hello, buddy.
hi.
Scott, how you doing, buddy? Sorry you can't catch the stream, but I appreciate you commenting. Matulene,
Enormous. That's an interesting one.
what's up, buddy? Uh, and Dog, hopefully you get here soon. So let's get into this. Tonight we're going to be talking about the sonic weapons. They're also known as acoustic weapons. I think this is pretty interesting. It's not a conspiracy. First of all, there's legitimate. Uh, what up, Chris?
Hey,
There's legit. This is a legitimate technology, and I think it's fucking super interesting. We're first going to start out with the potentially true. They don't really know if sonic weapons were used on these people in Cuba, but apparently U.S. diplomats in Cuba had an attack of these sonic weapons, and I think it's an interesting topic. So, U.S. diplomats in Cuba were injured by a sonic weapon. What is that? Uh,
well, I know sonic weapons exist, but I find this very interesting as well because I
yeah,
do remember hearing about this back in the day, but I don't remember exactly the context of.
yeah. Well, let's read through this article, and then we'll get into the kind of technology aspect of everything. So they have weapons that will legit make you shit yourself. Dangerous
That's
stuff.
true.
Yeah, no, and that's really like so. From what I've researched about this stuff, it tends to be like you get not heavy nausea. I think memory issues too, as well with it. I think hearing problems as well, and it would make sense. Like if you're shooting these like frequencies at someone's brain that it starts to disrupt certain aspects of a person's day to day.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So let's read this. A group of American diplomats in Havana, Cuba, have suffered severe and unexplained hearing loss over the past year, which U.S. officials believe was caused by a covert and advanced sonic device. The severity of some diplomats' symptoms has forced them to cancel their Cuba tours early and return to the U.S. for treatment, the Associated Press reports. But what exactly is a sonic device? How common are they? And how much damage can they actually cause? Here's what to know. What weapons were used to hurt diplomats in Cuba? State Department spokesman Heather Nauert uh, said the government does not have any definitive answers about the source of the attack. It is continuing to investigate what may have caused diplomats injuries. However, U.S. officials who spoke anonymously to the AP said that the hearing loss was caused by a device deployed either inside or near the diplomats' residences. The device emitted a sound that was not audible to human ears. They added they would indicate it was most likely a infrasonic or ultrasonic weapon. So what I think this is
Like a dog
a
whistle.
exactly. I think this is a dog whistle uh, on a larger form, right? So I think there's a frequency that our ears wouldn't pick up as sound, but it's still affecting what's going on. So like we can't listen to a dog whistle, like we don't hear anything, but that dog whistle is still affecting the frequency that the dog's ears can pick up, right?
Exactly.
Uh,
That's exactly how I feel about it because we know for a fact that sound itself can influence many things. I mean, isn't there that one element or whatever, or that one rock that you could like drop on it and it like turns into liquid and stuff as soon as you drop it on. When you turn the sound off, it goes back to solid. What's up, Caleb? And like we know that vibrations and sound on its own that we can hear can even influence actual.
mhm.
So why couldn't ultrasonic sound that we cannot hear, you know, I mean, imagine what that did. If that did that to people, imagine what that did to all the dogs and animals around.
Yeah, so I think this technology can probably do some pretty nasty stuff on a large scale. And I think typically what this is going to be used for is riot control, right? So
Yeah.
if this technology exists, which it does, I think the only time to actually use it on pedestrians and civilians is during a riot, right? Like especially if something's breaking out and you need something to end like right then and there, yeah, I think there's going to be some form of government to pull up with this
Yeah.
device, shoot it towards the crowd,
Bing, bing,
and
bing,
then
bing, 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 bing,
haul
bing.
ass, and
Everyone's
then
like,
haul ass, right?
it's like a flashbang without the flash.
Yeah, for sure. So, how much damage can acoustic weapons do? The damage caused by acoustic weapons can vary from minor irritation to death. It's kind of scary. Theoretically speaking, okay, so they're saying to death, theoretically speaking. It's,
Well, I
I
mean, a
don't know.
vibration at a certain level and frequency, if you got it correctly, it could probably shatter bones.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? I think it was, yeah, it's in the first Iron Man movie uh, when what's his name?
Obadiah Stane.
Yeah, Obadiah. He shows up with that like he has the earbuds, but he plays that button.
Bing. Yeah, and it goes.
Yeah, and then what's his name gets paralyzed. I could 100% see that being a legitimate piece of technology these days, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
100%.
so Chris says it's tricky because you can't actually see that it's being used. Yeah, and that's one of the
That's the
scary parts
scary
about it,
fucking part, dude.
right? And I'm sure they have things.
Imagine if they made miniature guns that could do that.
I think they do have something like that. I don't know about miniature, but like,
That could be like the next iteration of the taser. You just like bing, 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 and
yeah,
someone oh, fall
Chris,
over.
definitely the way the government likes it, easily abused. Yeah, 100%, bro.
For sure.
Yeah, this type of technology does remind me of that like yeah, like what Obadiah uses on Tony Stark in the first Iron Man movie, where dude just gets paralyzed immediately, temporarily,
Well,
and like
he uses it on both the guys, and
I'm sure
the
with
guy
these
he uses it, the terrorist guy he uses it on the first time, his whole face ends up getting like
well,
up
I'm
because
sure with this technology too, you could probably break people's eardrums with a
you
sonic
could
weapon,
boil
right?
somebody's like vibrating it so fast you could literally boil somebody.
I don't know. Okay, we're getting into to science
I'm just
fiction
questioning it now
realm, but
because I've seen people boil water with vibration. So I'm like,
yeah, for sure, for
it's,
sure.
if you get
Um,
into something like if this technology is continuing to advance, it's gonna get to the point where you can do it to literally fire sonics at something, and the sonic itself will be like a shockwave that when it hits a plane, let's say,
mhm.
takes the plane out. Shit like that. Like
So
what happens when a volcano erupts. You could do that on a small scale that's directed.
yeah,
Then
yeah. So the effect can depend on the type of weapon and range involved. Ryan Littlefield, who published a paper with the University of Portsmouth on the topic, says the fatality of such a device is unproven. Um, Police have used infrasound for riot control around the world, using it to trigger vertigo, imbalance, and other medical disruptions. According to Littlefield, in other cases, it's been shown to cause vomiting and defecation. Fuck. In still others, the technology has been used to disrupt targets' hearing.
yeah, that poor
That's
old
fucked up,
lady.
dude. Can you imagine being at like some public riot, or not even riot, but protest, and you just start like shitting yourself
No, what
uncontrollably?
if you're just like some old person coming out from lunch and there's like a riot going on out front?
Yeah.
You like fuck shit your pants because you can't control it at that point.
Yeah, no, look, this technology is wild. And probably a lot more effective shooting beanbags at people, right? Because that's just gonna get them riled up. But if
It's
they don't
also
know where this attack's coming from, they're just gonna be like, they're getting hit with this, like Chris had said,
instant
like you can't
vertigo.
visually pick it up, so you don't know what's attacking you. All of a sudden, you feel like vomiting or shitting your pants, and I would say it's probably pretty effective from what we're reading. How long have we been using sound as weapons? For decades, it's believed that towards the end of the Second World War, Hitler's chief architect, Albert Speer, was working on a device called an acoustic cannon. The weapon was designed to deafen and potentially kill targets by creating a series of more than 1,000 explosions per second. So this already is giving me vibes. I hate to bring it back to Marvel, but the Incredible Hulk movie and that cannon that they're using mounted on top of
yes.
I mean, so that's obviously hyped up and whatnot, but I don't think, especially now in this day and age, that type of technology is outside of the realm of possibility. I think there's something that it sounds outlandish, but I mean, this is from Time Magazine. I'm pretty. They've been around. I think they're fairly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't believe every single thing that comes out from Time, but we'll also pull up some diagrams and whatnot of the technology itself. I think this is well outside of the conspiracy realm. I think it's pretty much accepted that stuff like this happens. Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? So according to Motherbird, the device was designed to ignite a mixture of methane and oxygen in a resonant chamber, which would send out a deafening and focused sound that could potentially kill someone within a 300-foot radius in around half a minute. The weapon was never used, but it paved the way for the use of sonic weapons in warfare. Various types of sonic warfare has occurred worldwide over the past century, from audio harassment campaigns carried out by the U.S. in Vietnam in the 1970s to the employment of a device called the Scream by the Israeli army during a demonstration in 2005. Sound cannons, meanwhile, have been deployed in as many 70 countries around the world. What is a sound cannon? The LRAD, long-range acoustic device. Sound cannon was developed by the U.S. military in collaboration with the LRAD Corporation following the USS Cole suicide bombing. During the October 2000 incident, an explosion rippled a hole in the ship's hull while in a Yemen port, killing 17 U.S. soldiers. Okay, so that's fucking wild. Using sound to essentially break physical barriers is fucking wild, in my opinion. Right?
It's the thunder gun from.
Well, and kind of like what you were talking about before, with like a miniaturized version or a smaller scale version. Okay, I'm not going to pretend to understand the technology. I would say it's probably a lot more sustainable if you don't have to reload your gun every 30 rounds, right? To like maybe drop an energy pack, put a new one in.
Yeah.
You could argue is the same. It takes the same time, but doesn't necessarily take the same material to do so.
Yeah, but
so if you had a handheld weapon that could blast a hole through flesh and bone, or even metal at that point, kind of gets rid of the use of of bullets.
Dude, what if instead of like everybody thinks humans are gonna go with lasers, what if they just go with that?
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about that.
Also, it's not like it just broke through metal. It broke through a military vessel's hull.
Right.
Trying to withstand bullets. And nothing short of a torpedo or aircraft fire or cannon fire. Like,
yeah.
And that broke through that.
So
It killed 17 people still. So you know that mean that it didn't just hit it and disperse. It hit it and went through. And probably went and just like fucking melted people.
exactly. So following the attack, the LRAD Corporation developed the LRAD in the hope of keeping small boats away from warships. But sonic devices also have a history of being used to disrupt protests in the U.S. They are thought to have been used for the first time publicly in 2009 when Pittsburgh officials fired a sound cannon during a protest over a 2-day G20 meeting. According to the New York Times, the cannon emitted shrill beeps, causing demonstrators to cover their ears and back up. Other law enforcement agencies will be watching to see how it was used, said Nate Harper, the Pittsburgh Police Bureau chief at the time. It served its purpose well. It's fucking terrifying, dude. So, like, if police forces are using this type of technology, imagine what the military has, right? I could just imagine, like,
Yeah, I don't know if I want to. What if they literally can make a sound? Like they'll probably find a way to make a sound bomb or some shit.
a thought bomb. My Star Wars fans out there.
Thought bomb? That would be wild. Dude, that's kind of what it would be, though.
I mean, come on, dude. We're talking. If we're
I'm not talking about on a
it,
mass scale, but I'm talking about something you could drop into a building and like
yeah,
and do that. Like it'll make a sound. Like you just toss it in, it makes a sound. They have these crazy ass earmuffs on when they do it.
So let's wrap up this article. LRAD devices produce a deafening sound that can be heard up to 5.5 miles away, according to Gizmodo. Anyone within 100 meters of the device's sound path will experience extreme pain. And anyone with 15 meters can experience permanent hearing loss. One version of the device can cause severe headaches. And anyone within a 300-meter range.
Bro, think about that though. If they know all that, it means they've tested it on people.
Well, 100%. It sounds like right now that they have been tested on people and they've seen what the outcome is, you know?
Who the fuck's like, yeah, I'll be.
Well, and King Chris, I'm inclined to agree with you, dude. It's one of the scariest forms of weaponry. Yeah. Next to
bioweapons.
Okay, so we already have like drones and whatnot flying around. Imagine a drone that can deploy a weapon like this.
Oh fuck!
You don't even need, especially if it can cause death, like what they're saying. You wouldn't even need to do much
what if
for
it puts
a protest,
out
right?
Like a pulse, like an EMP, it could fly over and just boom.
And well, that's what I think it would happen. So imagine having like 4 to 6 of them surrounding a group of like a couple hundred people.
Well, how would it
not? This range parabola is out, right? And like you could basically knock out a whole protest.
Well, what if they have to be like kamikaze drones? Because how would they not get hit by it themselves?
I mean, I don't think the sound. I personally am inclined to think the sound doesn't really. It doesn't. It doesn't really affect other pieces of technology. I have a feeling this is a biological.
Well, it broke through the metal hull.
Yeah, so let's just finish up this last article, and we can really start speculating about the effects of what it is, and then we can get into the actual weapons themselves. So LRAD systems are now used in more than 70 countries around the world. They have various uses, including maritime security, wildlife control and preservation, and border and port security. Well, clearly we're not using them here for border security in the U.S. Otherwise, all those motherfuckers would be turning around. LRAD sound cannons are also deployed at airports to deter birds from flying in path of aircraft.
That's true. That I do know.
Weird. I'd never heard of that.
Yep. And they also use them where it said wildlife control and management. They also use them sometimes, which I think it's cruel. I would rather just shoot the thing with a tranquilizer dart.
Okay, but we're talking about fucking.
Yeah, but
Okay, so
they
wait,
use
whoa,
sound.
whoa. That is an absurd statement. So we're talking about airports. You'd rather have a bunch of people sitting on top of a building shooting
No.
tranquilizer darts?
No. The other thing said wildlife management. And they use it for like bears and wolves and shit like that. Just trank it. Like you don't have to bring out this fucking thing that like fucks with its ears and makes it want to go into like, your cage and then close the cage. Like just trank it.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you
But
on
with
that.
birds, it makes sense because you just send out this really low signal that birds don't like, and then they just won't go in the area of that. And it's not like they're getting hurt or nothing. They just turn around.
What's up, bro?
What's up, buddy?
Yeah, it's look, I think it's a fucking wild piece of technology. I
Yeah,
don't
it is.
know why we haven't heard much more about it.
I wonder how much it's really being used. I'm not saying it isn't.
I don't know, man. It's hard to really say. So I mean, that looks pretty fucking close to what they were doing in the Incredible Hulk movie, right?
The Hulk movie, yeah.
So sound cannons are used to emit painful, loud sounds that have potential to cause significant harm to eardrums and delicate organs of the ears and or hearing loss. Use of earplugs or firmly blocking the ears with hands can decrease the sound by 20 to 30 dB. I actually don't. Decibels? Is that what you said?
Decibels.
Decibels. But this may not be enough to avoid significant injury. In addition to auditory effects, acoustic weapons may also injure internal membranes. Yeah, dude, this fucking technology is wild, and the amount of protests that have happened in the past year, I'm beginning to think like, why wasn't this deployed first of all?
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not saying I want this deployed.
Probably because we don't have the funding for it.
Don't have the funding, dude. Most of our money goes towards.
Well, I know that, but until the National Guard shows up, but like your local like municipality isn't gonna have the funding for that.
Right.
They've already spent on all this other bullshit.
Yeah. No. You know, like this. I feel like. King Chris. They're gonna keep use of weaponry and equipment like this as quiet as possible. Yeah, that's a good point.
I think you're right.
And also, if it serves them right, they're not going to want to disperse things like protests by BLM and whatnot. I just, if you have this technology, I'd be like, probably why I'm not in a position of power. I would use it right away.
Yep.
I'm
like, boom, sit down.
So I have
them, but like,
go on.
So I wouldn't kill anybody, but like, I'd be like, that'd be a good way to just make everybody be like, like if you can make people just pass out by that and not like hurt them at all or anything like that, cool.
So this is a good point. Chris brings up, and the scary thing, they'll probably have stuff like stuff that makes sonic weapons look like kids' toys. That's really where the conspiracy side lies. For me. What's up, Gloria?
Hey, Gloria.
No, that's where the conspiracy side lies, right? Like, so if this is what's released to the public, what do they have? What do they have with this technology that we don't know of? And can they target things like a missile with this type of technology? Can they blow up a plane that's flying at a couple thousand miles per hour? Right? Like, probably. I really want to know. And I think you had brought up earlier, Rollo, the concept of an EMP. Did you say? Yeah. So it's like, yeah, is it like that? Like, could you have an EMP that deals with sound?
That's what I'm saying.
and
Like, so
breaking
it's,
sound
an
barriers.
electro, not even electro, but a sound pulse, for lack of a better term. Like, could you just a seismic pulse?
Well,
Seismic
dude,
charges.
look. So an
Seismic
EMP,
charges. There, like Star Wars.
if you blow up an EMP, immediately all electronic devices cease to work.
Yeah.
So imagine a bunch of humans running around. You drop a EMP device that deals with sound.
Sound bomb.
What if your eardrums blow out? Okay, so you have hundreds, maybe, and more often than thousands of humans with their eardrums all blown. I'm getting way off into the weeds now
Yeah,
with
you're right.
this,
No, I
but
don't think you are, because I think that's totally a possibility. You drop a seismic charge on top of an EMP, and you're fucking up the entire city. But
if you had a sonic boom, right?
dude, I'll be honest with you. If it sounds like the seismic charges from like the Slave One, I'm cool with it. If it just goes like and you see the blue light, I'll be like, all right, it's kind of sick. Even though my eardrums are bleeding, it's kind of cool. I'm kidding, for real. It's horrible. It's horrible technology if you really think about it.
Gloria Pushfonte. I hope you figured that out. That sounds rough.
What? All I see is that she said hi.
Speaking of sonic boom, has anyone seen my latest thumbnail? Yeah, I have. Yeah, look, the sonic weapon stuff though, it goes like I can't even begin to comprehend what they have, like what they're not telling us, right?
A lot.
So to put the tinfoil hat on, let's imagine, right? Like if you had a device like a nuclear bomb that deals with physical explosions and chemical reactions,
right?
If you had something that could do the same but with sound, like we know that like down to like cells and atoms, it's based off of friction and vibrations, right? So what if there's a technology out there where they have bombs that can explode and attack the frequencies of cells? I know I sound like a complete idiot, but
not to me, you don't. I think that's totally something that they unfortunately would strive to figure out. Can we literally detach a human from its own make? Can we disassemble a human being with the work of sound? I can see that. Or like you said earlier, essentially, if let's say that they made those like pistols or whatever that you could fire at somebody and it would hit them, right? You said like blow through them, right? But essentially it doesn't blow through them. It just hits them, and where it hits them, disassembles those cells. Pop, arms off. You're fucked. Like,
yeah, no, I think I don't know, man. This technology seems outlandish, but at the end of the day,
there's a lot of applications to it, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a scary thing. Tis.
So let me bring up one more thing.
I think you have to pray for somebody, Damia.
Yeah, I'm good. So acoustic weapons. I found this.
Ooh, diagrams.
Yeah. So okay, acoustic weapons, also known as long-range acoustic devices, and sound cannons, are devices that deliver very loud sounds over long distances. The technology is used for crowd control purposes, emitting loud and painful levels of noise that may lead to significant harm to the ears, potentially causing hearing loss. Serious questions remain about the safety and efficiency of acoustic weapons and crowd control. So this is basically what they're talking about with the whole at the end of World War II and the potential device that they had spoken about, that this sound cannon. I don't know, man. I feel like this weapon is something that we actually are utilizing right now.
I think we're utilizing it a lot more than we think they are. 100%. I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, if it's out there, it's public knowledge. It works. Why not utilize it?
Thanks, Gloria. Fucking hell. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. I think so. With the aliens and conspiracy stuff, right? I'm going to connect it back to UFOs. I think a lot of the UFOs that we are seeing and that we know about are technologies from humans that haven't been released to the public yet, for the most part. I think there's a chance that UFOs tend to. I feel like there are some UFO stories that are outer world, but I think for the most part, this shit is stuff that we have as a government for most of the world. And yeah, so I think there's a level of humans, or not humans, but world powers have, like, so they say 20 years, like, where the governments are 20 years in advance, and the public doesn't really have a recognizable answer to what we're seeing in a lot of these different.
Not at all. It's just there's nothing that we can truly tell from it, but we haven't seen it used enough to that effect. But there's a lot of other things. Like, it sucks that it's always war that creates things like this, because that could be used for really, like, you could use sonic technology or seismic technology for really good, like, imagine developing it to be able to do something super heavy, and you just put a block, like, you like stick something to it, and that you press a button and that thing just vibrates it forward, and it doesn't get fucked up, it just moves. Like, you could do stuff like that with vibrations or with sound, and I'm sure there's a lot of good things to do with it. Hell, you could probably use it to disperse water.
So they use variations of it for medical reasons.
They also use
so, Chris, please elaborate on that.
They also use electromagnetic pulses for medical things.
What up, Matt? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Matt.
So kidney stones and stuff. Okay, that's interesting. So, like, what they're using, like, sound, like in the way that I was talking about previously, about how, like, picking up on friction and vibrations, like they use the sound to push the stone out is kind of what I get from that.
I would assume.
Yeah, so I think it's in the next 5 years, we're probably going to see this type of technology being used a lot more in other areas. Breaks down the stones so they are easily passed. That makes actually a lot of sense. Yeah, but it's like, okay, so is the person put under and they don't, like, how are they using,
I would
from a layman's sense, like, I would imagine, like, this type of technology being used, the sound would affect also other parts of the human being, right?
Yeah,
And
they would have to be put under, and it would have to be very. I mean, they could also do it like a defibrillator almost.
no, that's actually super interesting. And it really does make sense the fact that
What if it's a pad, like a pad that you put on like a certain part of the body where it doesn't affect anything, and then it just sends a very minute pulse to break them up. I could see that.
yeah, no, to be honest, I think I've heard of this before
Well,
as
they use
well.
EMPs like that. I have some
Well,
downstairs that works that way. It's like a mat, and you lay on it. And they're in Europe apparently. They're in like every like ambulance now because of this company. But you lay on it, and it just sends electromagnetic pulses through your body. And some people say they can feel their toes tingle. Some people say they don't feel anything at all. And I've
yeah,
seen it first.
definitely.
But it really does. Like if you're sick, it helps you with that. If you're like having bad sleep, if you use it before you sleep fucking great. And if you have a bad back, it helps with that. People use it on their pets that are old, and I mean EMPs work like that. I can't see why sound wouldn't the same way.
Okay, so I thought. See, I'm gonna look up.
Look it up. Do it. Lycanthropy. Oh, my knees.
Okay, so lithotripsy, I'm probably butchering the way that's pronounced, is a procedure that uses shock waves to break up stones in the kidney and parts of the ureter. After the procedure, the tiny pieces of stones pass out of your body in your urine.
That sounds like it
Extracorporeal
sucks.
shockwave lithotripsy is the most common type of lithotripsy. Extracorporeal means outside the body. Yeah, so
Yeah, it sounds like it sucks regardless. Just kidney stones in general.
and I feel like this is a very like it's a very focused in way of the technology that we're talking about right now. I feel like the sound cannons are the same kind of idea, but on a larger scale, and they're
Yeah, I don't know how
attacking.
we didn't think about an ultrasound.
Damn, Matt, I didn't know you were a fucking doctor. Or you probably use Google. But look, I think this is it probably is the same technology, but just on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
And vice versa, like larger scale, like they're using this stuff on protesters and whatnot. Um, I don't know, man. I feel like the use of this technology, like for protesters and whatnot, is probably it's probably used more often than we would like to admit. Maybe not here in this country, but on in other countries where it's not as big. Uh, when you get older, you know more about some of these treatments. Okay, Matt, that's so funny. But yeah, man, I think I think we're gonna start seeing more of this stuff out like further on in the future. Do
I
you?
don't think it's going to be that much further, to be honest with you. I think we'll start seeing this stuff get rolled out like fairly soon. Like
So
as a natural.
let's put our full tinfoil hat on.
Didn't take long for machine guns.
What do you think is the possibility of us seeing this stuff in the next 5 years, 10 years? Like where we'll start seeing I'm not saying that they're just openly admit that they're
Well,
using it, but like protests and whatnot.
using it there because I was going to say we saw it. Now that I'm remembering, there's a drone gun that the French, funnily enough, revealed during Bastille Day, I think of 2019 or 2020, and it looks like something out of like Alien, but you just shoot it and it's like a sonic wave that just disables drones. It doesn't destroy them, it just disables them, and they either fuck up and keep flying or they just fall down. But they actually like revealed it and showed it off and everything and how it works. But at the same time, on an actual scale against humans, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it in the next 5 years. But I'm gonna say between 7 and 10 years is what the max.
Yeah, I'm inclined to think the same thing. I think there's a level of. I think there's a level that like the government has stuff that I always had a tinfoil hat on.
Yeah, we always say this.
But I think the government is using this stuff right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, I don't know how much, right? But I would argue there's a level of the government not telling us that they have this type of technology, that they're using it probably on a regular basis in other countries, like I said before.
Trying to think, there's something. I don't think it's a video. It might be a video game or a movie or like a TV show. But there's like, remember, there's a group of characters like. It's almost like the scene from Hulk. It might have even been in like Star Wars or Bad Batch where they had sounds, like sound waves that were like just like making them fall to the ground, and it literally knocked them out.
Yeah.
Something like it was in some show.
So I'm gonna look up real quick. Here's another article. Let's go over real quick.
Oh no, I know what it was. It was like My Hero Academia or some shit.
So, okay. What would an audible sound?
You got a lot.
I'm trying to find the actual story on this.
You got a lot of lotion ads up there.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just clicked on this.
Yeah, who knows?
Fuck you, Rolo. Well, so they're talking about right here ultrasound frequencies, which is pretty much what Matt was talking about. I'm trying to find the actual story as to what happened in Cuba. Oh, this is the one that we brought up. Okay, so this one seemed a little bit more, for what I'm looking at. In the late 2016 and early 2017.
Oh, fuck. Get that video up.
Yeah, no. U.S. and Canadian diplomatic intelligence personnel stationed in Havana, Cuba, came down with a strange illness after hearing a piercing noise in their rooms. The afflicted experienced symptoms similar to that of a concussion: dizziness, headaches, nausea, confusion, and nosebleeds. Before I move on, I'm going to read this chat. I think it's ready to roll out whenever they want. There wouldn't be as much knowledge readily available about it if it was something that they weren't ready to use on a mass scale, and if they wanted to.
Oh, I don't agree. I mean, I don't disagree.
Yeah, I think that's on point.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think anybody really watching us right now disagrees with that.
So, viral stories claim Cuba was using a sonic weapon to cause something called Havana syndrome, and to this day, no one knows what happened. According to a newly declassified report obtained by the National Security Archive, one of the reasons we know so little about this is that Trump's State Department handled the investigation so poorly. I'm going to go ahead and disregard that last
Yeah, I'm
statement.
gonna disregard that part.
Fucking Vice.
Oh, it's
The
fucking
100
Vice. That's why, dude.
the 104th page report
Woke ass.
comes from the State Department's Accountability Review Board (ARB), an independent group that reviews security-related incidents involving the State Department and makes recommendations. ARB's report on the Trump State Department's handling the Havana incident is damning. The Department of State's response to these incidents was characterized by a lack of senior leadership, ineffective communication, and systematic disorganization. The report said no senior official was ever designated as having overall responsibility, which resulted in many of the other issues this report presents. The report also revealed that new details about the Washington or about how Washington handled the issue and what it saw medically when it examined the patients. All in all, it documented brain injuries in 24 people. Dude, that's fucking wild. Like this type of technology is damaging people's brains. I'm terrified that that's
Imagine, yeah, but now it's not even perfected yet, and they're using it, and it's damaging people's brains. Imagine the people that created it. How many fucking people died creating it?
yeah, for sure.
Like, how many like black cell like motherfuckers were just like working on this in like S4? No, I'm kidding, but you know what I mean? Like some secret lab, and they're working on this shit, and they're just dying daily. They're just people will just every time I turn that shit on, someone dies until they get it right. Or people
Yeah,
get deaf or whatever. Like how many scientists died or engineers died to make this technology?
yeah, no, it's fucking wild, dude. And again, this technology is something that like we as a public, unless you're digging into this stuff, you don't really know what what they're capable of.
Yeah, I bet you if I like called my mom right now and was like, "Yo, did you ever hear about sonic weaponry?" She'd be like, "The fuck are you talking about? Like in Star Wars?" Be like, "No."
Yeah, no, in real life,
Yeah,
in our time.
like, "No, you're bullshitting me."
So now you see why they don't want people knowing it's readily available or openly being used.
I think I knew that in the first place as to why. I think we both knew that they definitely aren't just going to show it off.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like shown off to the point where it's like just the same thing. They weren't
All
like
right,
telling the
dude,
American people, "Hey,
can
we
you
got
take for a second, Rolo? I'll be right back.
Yeah, I can take over for a second.
Yeah, read the next couple paragraphs.
Yeah, no problem. So, according to the report, the State Department waited 6 weeks after the first learning the incident informed embassy staff, and it didn't tell their families. The board finds the delay of almost 6 weeks between first knowledge of injury and the first briefing of the embassy staff to be unfortunate, and the exclusion of family members from this knowledge to be unjustified, given the incidents were taking place at residences, it said. As a result of the attacks, Canada pulled its diplomats from Cuba, and the U.S. shut down CIA operations in the area and have been running the embassy with a skeleton crew ever since. Okay, that's really interesting. That I didn't know. They've been running it with a skeleton crew. I find that cool. No relation to Disney Star Wars, but that's I didn't even know they were still allowed to be there. But I thought the CIA completely pulled out. That was that was my knowledge. But the ARB report is the first official confirmation that the CIA shut down its Havana station. CIA informs Acting Assistant Secretary Francisco Palmieri of its decision to withdraw personnel from Havana for the foreseeable future. The report said under September 2017 listing in its timeline of events. I'll wait for Damio to get back for the next one, but that is very interesting stuff.
Yeah,
I'm
my bad. Sorry
I'm
about
not
that.
surprised that Canada pulled out, and I actually didn't know that the CIA still had. I knew they would definitely have operatives there, but I didn't know they'd have operatives on the books there.
Yeah, so this is one of the more interesting parts about what I want to talk about is the fact that there's a supposed attack that happened like in Cuba.
They got like 17 Michael Westons down there.
Yeah, bro. Like, what the fuck? Um, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like they're afraid to use this technology in the U.S. and maybe I guess Canada too. But like, they know people like we wouldn't put up with that bullshit, right? Like,
I'm Michael Weston. I used to be a spy. Now I'm in Cuba looking at sound.
So the ARB said over and over again that one of the reasons we know so little about this or about what happened is because the State Department dragged its feet investigating the incident. The report was written in 2018. At the time, no one has been assigned to lead an investigation, and the drawdown of staff at the embassy that followed happened ad hoc. I actually don't know that. I don't know what
Where is
ad
it?
hoc means.
Ad hoc?
Yes.
I'll look it up right now.
So the decision to draw down the staff in Havana does not appear to have followed standard Department of State procedures, but was neither preceded nor followed by any formal analysis of the risks and benefits of continued physician presence of U.S. government employees in Havana. It said, to this day, Havana syndrome is a mystery. We don't know what happened, when it happened, who did it, or why. I think that's fucking bullshit.
That's stupid that they said ad hoc.
Hey, dude.
It means for this or for this situation.
Star Wars Dog. Yeah, were you tuning in?
I had you on, but I wasn't trying to be rude.
What's up, buddy?
Yeah. Complete bullshit. That's what I'm saying, dude.
The fact that he said ad hoc, it literally just means for information.
I find this
ad hoc. You prissy son of a bitch.
Okay, so Dog, what are your thoughts on this on the sound cannon, this technology as a whole?
I mean, I'm not really comprehending how it works. Like, is it like the Iron Man thing where it's like paralysis inducing, or is this like
everything we've read and looked into says it causes nausea and so like sometimes like loose valves, right? Like you want to shit yourself. From what I understand, this technology
like creating pressure then.
Yeah, it sends out a frequency that causes your body to react, and it's used typically with crowd control. So I'm thinking it causes high discomfort physically. That's what I've read. But we've also gone over that. It said it in theory it could kill people. Like, so if you crank it up a couple notches, it might actually kill people. Are you aware of what we've been talking about like tonight, or
I've never looked into it or even really heard of it too much.
It's really
like
interesting stuff, man.
Like the technology that's always impressed me was like the railgun system, magnetically propelled projectiles is awesome, but sonic weapons is super interesting. Like, I wonder what's the range of sonic weapons. Like, are we talking Jango Fett sonic charge?
I feel like, well, that's what I said earlier, and I actually brought that up though because I said, is it possible that it's not going to look like that or anything, but
can it be
is it possible that you could you could fly a drone over a battlefield, right? Or you could fly a drone over a specific area and have the drone emit a pulse, almost like an EMP, but sonic. That's like boom, boom, and just everybody's eardrums just fucking pop in the vicinity,
and it could disrupt the waves of other signals. I don't know.
A massive flashbang, basically, without the flash. And could you possibly? Because we also looked into something where I don't know if you saw this part. They used the sonic weapon on a battleship, and it traveled right through the hull of the battleship. It was condensed. So if you can condense it like that into a certain sphere,
like diameter, yeah.
Yeah, could you therefore condense it into a gun? And then literally have a gun with a charge on it that
What are you walking around with a kicker assault
Well,
rifle?
no. Here's what I'm saying, because if you leveled it down, what if that
Sling
becomes
some Kid Cudi at people?
like Doug? What if that becomes the new taser? Like instead of tasing people, you just boom, you knock them out by hitting them real quick with a sonic pulse.
I feel like if it does the kind of things that I'm kind of picturing in my head, what a sonic weapon would do, I think you're going to see some adverse side effects.
Oh yeah,
heavily related to brain damage.
For sure, but what I'm saying is, with sound as opposed to electricity needs to be connected to something. Whereas sound, you can fire it, and then if you can condense that sound to a point where either you can turn it up or turn it down on said firearm, you could either make it set to stun or set to kill, just like
yeah, that's what I was going to say. So is this more of a less than lethal kind of crowd control?
I don't necessarily think so. So what's released to the public sounds like it could be
lethal,
modified to either or, like he was saying. But so this is a generic reasoning behind it. But it says acoustic weapons function by emitting loud, painful, and even dangerous levels of noise. They use hundreds of modern transducers to create highly concentrated and amplified sound. This fairly narrow beam can focus on specific targeted areas. So, and this is what I was talking about. Like, okay, so if you have it cranked up to the highest volume that it could possibly perform, like, what if your eardrums blow out? So I think it could get to the point where it's lethal, right? Because if your eardrums blow out and then you keep going, I feel like that sound barrier is just going to keep going, digging in further into your brain.
Your brain.
Right. And you had something about the 1990s. Do you want me to read this other one?
Yeah, I just seen that. Purposes in the early 1990s.
So sound amplifiers have been used for centuries, but this technology was weaponized for crowd control purposes in the early 1990s. Specialty devices that are able to project loud sounds over long ranges were first used by the U.S. military in Iraq 2004. Since the 1990s, the U.S. military and private companies have also researched infrasonic devices that could have effects at very low frequencies that might not be heard by the human ear. So when did you serve, Dog?
2011 through 14 to 15.
So it's saying this is here what 7 years, right? So yeah, 7 years before you were in the military. I would expect that you'd heard about this before. That's the craziest part about this technology, right?
Can I say I picture this being used as crowd control in the 90s with somebody plugged in with a electric guitar behind it, just hitting that note. That's just the picture I had in my head.
They just get the guy from Mad Max. They just get the guy
Let him have it, Rob.
Yeah. Well, no, and that's the most interesting part is like this technology has been around for this long, and someone like yourself who's like served in the military has never even heard of it. That's really
I don't think it has like the most called for use. Like I could see maybe they have them outside of embassies and shit. Like in case they get stormed, you just flip that switch and it kind of repels them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm not.
So you have a hard time believing that
the application I can think of is they're probably outside of embassies and shit.
Not to make this an alien. Well, they are. I think they said that, didn't they? Or no, it affected an embassy. But not to make this an aliens and conspiracy stream, but do you think that it's possible? Like, we've seen in movies and things like that where it has a certain radius, and that radius is almost hardened, where like it's like hard for you to even get through the sound wave itself.
Oh, I see what you're
Do
picturing.
you think that's possible to make almost like a shield, like an overshield of sound, of vibration, that like as soon as you go through it, you just like you're repelled because
we're not talking ultrasonic.
I mean, I know we are talking ultrasonic. They mentioned ultrasonics as well in the last article that we read, or two articles ago.
Well, it's okay. We had talked about ultrasonic being similar. It was also in topic that using similar technology that you break down kidney stones to a smaller size or multiple pieces through sound and vibration and
basically making the molecules separate themselves.
Exactly.
And I was saying that I think it connects in the sense where this is on a larger scale. So you're not breaking down physical thing. I think there's a possibility of that, but you're not breaking down physical.
I tend to lean that way as far as how the pyramids were constructed and cut.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying, dog. I'm in your camp.
Well, dog,
I don't think this is anywhere near that level, though. Either.
No, I don't think that. I think we are monkeys playing with a toy right now, compared to what they.
Which it probably took them thousands of years to get to that point.
Exactly.
You think about us technologically, we're only about 200 years in to like some actual improvement. Like however, they may have had thousands of years, maybe even 10,000 years. So who knows?
Yeah, I would say that we are, as a society, like as humans, we are improving quicker than what we would have realized back in the day, but we don't know how quickly they improved. You know what I'm saying? So that can't be proven. But I mean, the fact that we went from semi-automatics in World War I up to fully automatic, like handguns by World War II, is like kind of miraculous that they were figured out in 20 years. But I mean, it's not that different, but it's almost.
I want to go back to your
like look at like when iPhones first came out, and now we're here with like these crazy shit.
That's only 20 years.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
only 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. So we're advancing quickly, but we have no idea how quickly they advanced. They might have advanced.
Or what kind of technologies they.
Well, yeah, because we went industrial, which then became electrical. They might have gone
combustion.
Yeah. They might have gone water and then sound. That's what I'm thinking. That's my thinking. That's a tinfoil hat.
So Doc, we went earth and fire.
What had
we went earth and fire? They went water and sound.
What were you? You said you wanted to hear something. You were trying to say something. I'm just trying to.
Me? I was.
Yeah.
I was trying to jump back to his initial question because it is an interesting proposition. If we can have something that creates like a sonic barrier, I mean, obviously I don't study this kind of shit, and I haven't really looked that deeply into it. But to me, I can't really comprehend how, other than like repelling you mentally because it's so fucking loud and you don't want to get any closer physically. I don't see anything like actually preventing you from like.
I could see it though, because if it's a frequency, dog, that we can't hear, but it's a powerful frequency. Right? Think about it. So there's I was talking to Daniel about this earlier.
I mean, you feel air move on a base.
Oh, yeah, but they're talking about sound to the point where you're not picking it up and it's affecting your physical.
Yes.
Your physical
high frequencies. So those are low frequencies when we feel that much.
So it's like a dog whistle. But what I'm saying is what if there's a way that you mix those two sounds, correct? Right? Like you have two different systems that are creating two different frequencies, and they find out a way that when those frequencies mix, You know what I'm saying? Like around, like let's say it's an embassy, right? You know, there's a couple walls and shit.
Yeah.
But like 5 foot out from the embassy, all the sand is just vibrating around it.
Well, and dog, this
would know not to get close.
So Chris, he has these 2 comments here, or 3, and with the tinfoil hat fully on. That's funny. So okay, I'm sure the government has shit we couldn't even dream of currently.
Yeah,
and the stuff we're allowed to see is basic for them. So what I wanted to get your perspective on, Dog, is that we know, like, it's common consensus that what the government has is 20 years advanced than what we know of as modern day technology. And that's really where I want to kind of focus on for this bit, and what your perspective is that if this is what's released to the public, everything we just like brought up and showed, and this technology that I have pulled up right now on screen, like what do you think is 20 years more advanced than this, right? So
in the same sound category.
I'm listening. I just gotta help my grandmother out of the house.
Yeah, you're fine.
You're good. Take care.
But yeah,
like in the sound category, or
yeah, in this sound technology category, not all in all.
I can't really fathom the limits. I don't
Yeah.
I don't know what it's capable of. Like, I'm sure it can scramble your brain and like make you shit yourself and all that good stuff. But I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. 20 years in advance. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's out of the realm possibility that a sound technology could fucking kill you, right? Like if
I
it can make you,
it could.
If
I
it can make you
it
shit
now.
your pants, if it can
it
make
probably could kill you in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a matter of turning it up, but can I also say, and I do agree that they probably are like 20 years advanced with certain things. But if that were to be public sector working on those things, I mean, just look at the space program. Look at what SpaceX was able to do compared to what NASA. I mean, yeah, technology's improved a good bit, but like private industry is so much more effective and advancing something, because there's an incentive to make it even better. Now, military has that application too, but
yeah, I think this is why I wanted to do the episode tonight, because I think this is a piece of technology that it's there's not much conspiracy behind it, other than the fact of what more it could produce, right? So we know that this technology exists. It's been around for a while, but like, what are they not showing us? And I'd like your opinion too on why. Like, I don't think they're using this much in the U.S. I think the U.S. government is not only using this technology in practice, but they're specifically avoiding using it in the U.S. and the protests that we're having here, not only for political gain, but for a reason that, like, for people like you and I who are interested by this, I'd say there's a lot more people here in the U.S. that are interested in this kind of conspiracy thing.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah, I think there's a reason why the government doesn't use this on their own people for this reason, and this is full tinfoil hat now.
Saving it for when they really think
when they really need it. So you mean for
January? Yeah, when there's a January 6th event that they didn't host and escort people around. When it's like for real. Then
so you mean for a 2024 election? And when it goes wrong, and then maybe they might break it out.
Unfortunately, that fucking voting accident, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't.
What do you think?
They very well could have that shit hidden all around, major buildings, and it's probably all the way around the Pentagon and shit. But of course,
so that
probably not on that wall that doesn't have a camera to capture a fucking plane flying into it. But I digress.
It's like they have everything linked in to the grid for when they need to use it, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. This stuff is
It's interesting. It's very interesting, but I don't really have never really looked into it much, and I can't really fathom what all the limits are, like, or applications even.
yeah, I mean, I can't either, man. It's not as grandiose of a topic as something like um the pyramids or anything like that, the stuff that we talked about in the past, but it's something that I think really draws some serious thought. Um
Yeah.
no, unfortunately he's not here, Sundowners.
He'd rather
So
play Mass Effect
yeah.
again.
He can fart on his own time. 9/11 was an inside job. So we made a joke about that, but yes,
Are you
there's
willing to do a podcast on that one?
yes, 100%. But we'd have
Yeah.
to actually do some legit. That's like a week long. You and I, do some legitimate.
A lot of mixed feelings in that one, but also
Yeah, but we definitely will at some point.
yeah,
Are you?
that one's rough. That one's rough, and it's been coming up a lot on Rogan lately too. Damn.
I'm down to do a 9/11, dude. There are a bunch of things that
Definitely not close to 9/11 though. I don't think we should do
well, we're
it
past. We're in
near
a good
the end.
spot.
Yeah, for sure, for
Maybe.
sure. But like next September, you know what we should do? No, don't.
Yeah. So, look, I don't have much more to talk about the sound technology. We can kind of just shoot the shit for a second here before I shut it out. I will say though the 9/11 one I'm willing to talk about in depth because I think there are many things wrong, a little bit weird about that. And look, first, with all due respect, everyone that participated in cleaning up that mess in New York City, I wholeheartedly
That was totally real.
I wholeheartedly give my utmost respect to and love and yeah, exactly. Now, 6-inch steel beams cutting at a 45-degree angle, I have an issue with. Passports of the people that supposedly crashed a plane into the building being found
5
around.
miles away.
Yeah, I have an issue with. No footage at all with the Pentagon and the plane blowing up into the Pentagon. I have an issue
on the
with.
most secure building in the world. No footage of a plane flying in at the ground level to perfectly bore its way into the side.
Now, I want to put a disclaimer out there. This wouldn't be an aliens and conspiracy stream unless we went from sonic weapons to 9/11, but that's what we're here for.
You signed up for this.
Yeah.
This is your fault.
What do you think, Antonio?
Good.
I had to at least let it ride till Big Mike.
Yeah. But yeah, listen, dude, I'm totally undo that. I want to, for everyone that's listening here, I am making a move this next couple of weeks, so probably expect no streams. There might be one. I might not be here in the next couple of weeks for live streams and whatnot. I might put out some videos, but I'm moving to Texas and I need to figure all this stuff out. So I might not be here and as present as I normally am, but stay tuned. We will always be back.
Fucking whack ass phone calls, guys. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm actually thinking of cutting this out right now. It's a shorter stream tonight, but
Y'all did a great job, by the way. I was listening a little bit, but also.
No, I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. Let me go through chat real quick. Say thank you to everyone for showing up. King Chris, you're always here for the support. I appreciate you, bro. I love this. I love this tinfoil hat stuff. King's Advisors, I guess I'll say hello.
This is a really good one.
Thank you much, man. Scott, thanks for just dropping by. Matt Tulane, thank you. Crimson Law. Sundiners, thank you, bro.
The old fart. Yep.
Yeah, Gloria, I don't know who you are, but I guess thank you.
RG was here at some point.
Yeah, Ramen, thank you, bro. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And thank you to my panel members. Rollo, thank you so much, brother.
Yeah, man.
And thank you, Star Wars Dog, for popping in when you could. I appreciate you. Let's finish this off with.
Be better next time. I'll be